So earlier I heard you mention the Randle cycle.
Hmm.
What is the Randle cycle?
Sure, it's a metabolic pathway. It's not so much a cycle, but it's if you consume, so there's two sources of fuel for your body. There's glucose and there's fatty acids. So if you're consuming large amounts of both, it's so there's enzymes that carry the glucose to the mitochondria, and there's enzymes that carry the fat to the mitochondria. And when you're consuming both, those enzymes inhibit each other in the cell. So you get kind of like a breakdown. It's kind of like if you're driving down an interstate, and like another interstate, like where I live near New Orleans, we have I-10. And then when you're driving down I-10 towards New Orleans, I-10 breaks off into 610, and 610 kind of goes around the city and then recombines the I-10 when you get past New Orleans. And when I-10 and 610 recombine, there's a massive traffic slowdown. There's just like this massive congestion, cars trying to merge together and everything. That's kind of what happens in the Randle cycle when both of your energy enzymatic functions are inhibiting each other. And when that happens, something called I think it's called inorganic or organic phosphate accumulates in the cell, and it's inflammatory, and the cell releases inflammatory cytokines. So this is why you see a lot of overweight people. They're also really, really inflamed looking. They're real puffy looking, and their skin is just really unnaturally. It just looks sick because there's so much inflammation. Not only is the sugar, their high blood sugar inflammatory, but with the Randle cycle constantly being active, with them eating like fried chicken, for instance, which is high fat, high carb, or any kind of value meal, French fries, high fat,
Yes.
high carb. So their Randle cycle is just constantly activated, and they're constantly just blasting themselves with inflammation. So you basically want to choose one or the other for your energy source. If you're gonna eat carbohydrates, I don't recommend that. But if you're going to eat carbohydrates, it's a lot better if you cut back on your fat.
So what do you think of?
All of this balanced diet stuff where you want healthy fats in your carbs and everything, that's completely disastrous. You don't want a lot of fats and a lot of carbs. You want a lot of carbs and low fat, or you want a lot of fat and low to zero carbs, so that you don't activate that Randle cycle. It's one thing you just don't want to do. It's one of the most disastrous metabolic functions or dysfunctions that you have.
Same goes for the animal-based diet. That's now like a big trend that I see on the internet. So they're eating a lot of fatty meat, a lot of, fatty products, and a lot of honey and fruits together.
Yeah. It's I mean, and people don't know what they don't know, and they're still. It takes a long time to get that dogma and that propaganda out of your head. That, of course, like when I first heard about carnivore, I thought it was an internet gag, like people eating Tide Pods or setting themselves on fire in the shower. I mean, of course you need carbohydrates. Of course you need plants. Of course you need fiber. What about the phytonutrients and the antioxidants and everything? Of course you need that. And then the more I studied, the more I realized that less plants are more optimal. So it takes a long time just to get all that from your brain. So they're like, oh, fruits are natural sugar, even though, and Dr. Berry, Ken Berry, put out this meme one time that was just brilliant. He showed two molecules next to each other. And he says, pay very close attention to both of these molecules. The difference is in these molecules. The one on the left is from soda, and the one on the right is from an apple. And it was the exact same fructose molecule.
Yeah.
And fructose is actually the worst sugar you can eat because it's 7 times more glycating than glucose. So all of the glycation that you're getting from glucose, you're getting 7 times more glycation, and it's occurring around the liver. Because the liver, the body doesn't really know what to do with glucose. It metabolizes it the same way it metabolizes alcohol, as fat around the liver. So all that fructose is hanging around the liver and just glycating everything. That's why non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is so dangerous.
That's probably why we see a lot of fatty liver disease in children too now.
There's massive amounts of juice, which, you know, that if fiber were good for anything, you know, in that, especially in that instance, you're drinking all of the sugar without the fiber. So it's just, there's nothing inhibiting the sugar from, you know, being absorbed into your blood. It's just straight, you know, just a straight assault of fructose.
Well, but you need to drink your orange juice for vitamin C.
No. Do you want to talk about vitamin C? This is a fantastic subject as well. So I don't really get this a lot. There's kind of, every once in a while I'll see some clown influencer saying that we're on the verge of scurvy. So this is very fascinating.
It's usually like your family that's super worried about your vitamin C, at least in my position. It's like, you need to eat some oranges or you need to eat some fruit because like you're not getting your vitamin C. I'm like, I don't need that.
You don't, because here's the deal with vitamin C. It's almost molecularly identical to glucose. So the glucose and the vitamin C compete for the same cell receptors. And when you've got elevated glucose levels, blood glucose levels, that metabolic emergency, your body's like, give me the glucose. Let me get rid of this glucose. Let me convert it to ATP, or let me, you know. And the vitamin C has a very difficult time getting into the cells. So you need more vitamin C when you're on a high carbohydrate diet. Like when the sailors in the old times, when they were, you know, the wind-sailed ships, took months to get across the ocean. When they got scurvy, their primary source of nutrients, so-called nutrients, was a carbohydrate biscuit called a hardtack. It was refined wheat flour, water, and salt. So basically negative nutritional value. And so they would get scurvy and probably rickets and all kinds of other nutritional deficiencies because they weren't eating. You know, they were getting their calories, you know, but they weren't getting any kind of nutrients or anything. It's a perfect example of how calories don't really matter. But
we'll get into that.
So yeah, so when you're not consuming carbohydrates, and your cell receptors are not your glucose and your vitamin C aren't competing to get into the cells, the actual dietary requirement daily for vitamin C is in the nanograms, which is, a nanogram is a billionth of a gram. So there's very little vitamin C in beef per se. Like, I eat nothing. I don't eat organ meat or anything. I just eat ground beef, and I got some beef cheeks in my slow cooker right now. So I don't eat organ meat. And I get very little relative vitamin C compared to, say, like an orange or whatnot, but that's good. That's fine, because I don't need nearly that much vitamin C dietarily. It's very, very little vitamin C that I actually need to carry out the metabolic functions that it helps carry out. It's nanograms, in the billionths of a gram. It's so little, it's almost non-existent.